name is William. I'm from Empower to Free, and today is actually our first session of Is Finding Meaningful Job Important? Today, I have with me is actually Ruth. Sorry, just give me one moment. Ruth is actually from the social service sector and for almost ongoing for 7 years within the digital marketing space. And her aim is actually to build sustainable online revenue generating channel to actually support those organizing in need. So Ruth, the mic is all yours. I will pass it to you, okay?
All right, thanks, William. Yeah, hi, Christina. Thanks for joining the session. So glad to have you with us today. I think just before I start with my introduction and all, I think just want to share that it's really my privilege to be here, even just to be here, meeting William, having Christina to be on the Zoom as well to share about my journey. And I really want to give, I just want to thank Empower to Be for having me here today. Yeah, so my name is Ruth. So like what William shared, I work as a digital marketer in the social service sector, or you can call it the non-profit sector. So I joined the industry in 2015. So upon my graduation, after I did my uni, which I did in majored in marketing. And so it's about 7.5 years now, and hopefully to go on a bit longer in this in the sector. Yeah, so I think in my main part of my work, I focus a lot in bringing donations through the various digital platforms. Look at social media, through websites, third-party fundraising platforms, and also search engine and email marketing. So that is, I think together with my team, we look at that to see how we can fundraise for the organization so that we can help many more who are those in need in the community. So I think my team together, we also look at how we can continue to engage with our stakeholders, whether is it our donors, potential donors, volunteers, or even people who are just keen, who are interested about the work that we do. So we help them to understand the impact of their value and the value that they are contributing to the greater work of what we do at the organization I work for. So perhaps you might be thinking, how did I even join in the sector to begin this whole 7.5 years journey? I was sharing earlier with William, talking about how I think even when I was still studying, my late grandma actually was diagnosed with cancer, and we had to make some arrangement for her. During her last day, she requested to stay in a hospice, just so that if she doesn't burden the family with the caregiving, and so that everything will be a lot easier. And I think throughout the whole period of maybe about 3 to 4 months, there is a social worker that came alongside with my family, and she really supported us throughout the last days, even upon her passing and after her passing as well. And I told myself back then, I was like, okay, I think it's such a meaningful piece of work to be a social worker, to be really journeying with the families through the not so good times, and really to even help them to grow even stronger thereafter. But upon my graduation, I actually forgot about it. And when I started searching for jobs. So it was like, I think a friend of mine, a church mentor, actually spoke to me and said, hey, did you remember that we had this conversation before, talking about how you want to go into the industry, go into non-profit to help others who are in need? And I'm like, but then, I studied marketing, I didn't study social work, then how do I even enter the industry to begin with? So it was just so timely that there was a particular position in the operations team. So it's a communications role. I think it was a corporate communications role. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to apply and see what happens out of it. And who knows, the manager that interviewed me was my friend's friend. And of course, that really, of course, I didn't get a special privilege of the interview, but I will have to say my whole process of getting the interviews done, it was so much faster as compared when I just applied through the portal. So that was something quite interesting. Yeah, so that was how I began the journey. So I started off with a corporate communications job, and of course, slowly, I think with the opportunities that my ex-boss really gave to me, he really allowed me to explore into the digital space. He just like, you study marketing, right? So why not think about digital marketing and see what we can do from there. So we start with small and bits and pieces, but I think eventually we managed to keep everything on a much, I would say, a stable phase of our time, where we know there are certain areas we want to go into, there are certain areas we want to venture, there are certain areas that we might not want to venture into because of the risk that may be there in the digital space as well. Yeah, so this is pretty much my journey thus far. Yeah, and I'm not sure if Christina, perhaps you have any thoughts, any questions, feel free to send it in through the chat, or just want to unmute so that we can have I could be able to answer to any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you, Ruth. And Christina, don't be shy. I know it can be daunting meeting two strangers right now in an online chat room, but basically, look, you actually have the privilege right here to actually have a more in-depth session with Ruth and seeing how it is progressing with being you part of the chat. I'm actually happy for it to be more freestyle, for you actually to engage Ruth in a more in-depth detail. So don't be shy. You could go to chat, or you can actually just unmute yourself and share a question. Okay, and I hope I did answer your question regarding the IC part. So yeah. All right, so Christina actually asked, how is it like to start as a marketing role in non-profit? It's the two and content different working as a commercial digital marketing.
Thanks, Christina, for the question. I think it's a great question. Many people will actually be curious to find out, is it we have any special tools? Unfortunately, we don't have. We are pretty much using the same platforms, Facebook, Instagram. I have yet to venture into TikTok. It's kind of new for me, so definitely still learning the things there. In terms of Google Ads, SEO, SEM, we are definitely on it. I won't say that it is very different. The tools are pretty much the same. The content-wise, definitely there might be a point of difference, because many a times we realize that people in the public or on the digital space, they are very likely to hear stories from the ground, the very real, authentic stories of our clients, of our beneficiaries. And that's why we do use our client stories to encourage them, to even help them to realize that this is the impact you have done. This is the impact that you can create in a child's life, in an elderly, helping them to age in dignity in their golden years. So actually, the tools wise is, I think even in content, I have to say, commercial digital marketing has really stepped up on their game. Even if I'm one that really love to watch advertisement, I don't really watch the drama bit of it. I just wait for the advertisement. I have to say, Thai advertisements are really good. They really have unexpected ending, and you really fall into the storyline, and you just sit down there and watch for that 5 whole minutes. I'm not sure for the both of y'all, but I really enjoy it. It's really it's always so hard tugging, and you felt like, oh no, what's going to happen to the whole ending to the main character? And then it comes out another product advertisement, and you're like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that. So I think they are also realizing the power of storytelling. And even because that is really what people are looking for. People so not so much. I think of course we need to understand the audience that you are having, because different audience receive information very differently. There are some audiences they are like more keen on numbers, on the impact, on the statistics, and we have to target our content to audience specific. So perhaps for the younger one, they are looking at a lot more on not just how much you want to tell them, but in fact, it's how much they can be heard. So it's a lot of more collaborative way of working together. So I think over the years, we also realized that even as much as we have some our ambassadors to come over to share about the work we do, we also blend in together with their content to see how we can market together. So there is such that it's also like a win-win situation. The influencer also get their reach, and also our voice, our cause, advocacy is also being shared out to them, to their audience as well, because it might be a market that we might not be able to penetrate in.
Oh, okay. What's your target audience then in your marketing role? I'm quite interested now.
Yes, I think I have to say that we are targeting, I am trying to target to the younger audience group. It is a new market that I want to reach out, because, even though they are young, perhaps people might think that, they might not have the power to make a donation yet. They can't give a lot. They can't give you like $50. That might be their 1 week of allowance. But I think it's to really to sow a seed into their life, to realize that, hey, there's so much more. You could just take one less Grab ride, one McDonald's less, and that amount actually can be such so powerful. So I think that is one group that I'm trying to target to. It's still work in progress. It's not that easy because they are no longer on certain social media platforms that I'm on. So that's why TikTok is I have to get in there somehow or rather sooner or later. But I think for the last 7 years, we have been targeting to I think I would say working adults and professionals, and even to retirees on social media platforms. And we usually zoom into those who have already an interest in the sector, be the causes that we have, or even just generally they are more interested about the sector itself, like the charity sector, because then when we target our content to them, they will feel a bit more, rather than just like, this doesn't really speak to me, and then I just swipe it away, and then I'll be not really fully utilizing the resources that I have, which is very precious, to get the maximum results that I can, or I would say the maximum conversions that I can get out of it. Yeah, thanks, Christina, for your questions. Feel free to keep it coming.
I'm sorry to. Oh, Christina, do Ruth work with marketing team with other team member? All right,
Yes,
this will be the
definitely.
last question.
Sure, definitely. I can't do this on my own. There's no way I can be doing all this, because I think on top of the digital space that I'm looking at, I'm also looking at offline fundraising events and the amount of marketing collaterals that need to be produced out to reach out to our existing pool of donors, sponsors, even corporates as well. So I do have a team. It's not a very big team, unfortunately. We are hoping to expand a bit more next year. Yeah, so I think currently I have another team member alongside with me to look at all the platforms that we are doing.
All right, look, I'm just going to end it with one last question, and thank you, Christina. I think those questions had really thrown Ruth in a bit of hot seat to actually say, hey, is there a difference between the commercial side stuff and not for profit? So, Ruth, lastly, can you tell us that is finding meaningful work important?
Yes, I think this is why we are here today, to really share that I think finding meaningful jobs I think is important for me. Otherwise, I don't think I would be in the sector for so long. Because it's never easy when you start to compare and you look at your peers who are, perhaps in other industries that are doing so well, could afford car, houses, and I'm like, wow, I'm satisfied. I can still have pass on my day-to-day livings and all. But I think having a meaningful, purposeful work, finding meaning in your job, it gives you that motivation. It's not just about the next pay raise. It's not just about the next promotion that you're going to get. Those might be other things that come along, but you realize that the lives that are being impacted on a daily basis. For me, as a operations, I would say more on a back-end person, I might not see the day-to-day transformation in our beneficiaries' life. But I think understanding that I am building that foundation so that my colleagues on the ground can continue to do the great work that they are doing and seeing the lives transform each day. Yeah, so I think that is the greatest. I think it brings me greatest joy to see how our maybe a child who is very shy and not wanting to make friends, struggling with their academics, and now rising up to be a volunteer with us again after all these years of coaching and helping other children who have been in a similar situation, to help them to believe that their dreams do matters as well, and we can help them fulfill the dreams. How do I overcome setbacks from work if I do not meet KPI? Yes, wow, that is such a real question. Of course, I do have a setbacks.
I will allow that question. No rose tinted, no bullshit. I like it. Throw it on. That's the last one.
I think definitely how do I overcome? I think it's always a learning process for me when I look back at maybe certain events, certain projects that didn't turn out good. And I ask myself, what can I do better the next time? You know, because this won't be the last time I'm doing it. But what for me is how can what are some of the lessons learned and what can I do in preparation for the next round to do it even better, or if there are areas that I might have missed out, overlooked, then I must be a bit more careful in terms of my timeline, for example, in terms of my budget. Perhaps if I need more support from the team, then I do have to sound out to my boss and make the necessary allocation.
Wow. That's good. So are you mainly the I'm guessing 7 years, are you mainly the main marketing lead? Would you say that's your title?
I would think so, because over the years many left, many came and left again. Yes. So I've been there since we started the whole thing on the digital space. Yeah, so yeah, I'm also telling my boss, I think you need to recruit a few more people, maybe one next year will be good, so that we can expand the things that we do a bit more. Otherwise, just the two of us, it's a bit hard to continue to do the existing and continue to expand the work.
Correct. I know what you mean by that. Because do you guys have a big team, or how big is your team?
I think for my team, we look at different functions. So I have
okay.
So I think specifically for the digital function, is only two of us. And then my boss oversees three different functions. We have the philanthropy arm, we have the corporate engagement and school engagement arm. So it's quite a wide range of things that we do.
Oh wow, that's big.
I think that's just itself. It's just the fundraising team. So our target every year scares us. Every year when we have to present the numbers. Okay, so for the next year, we are forecasting how much we will bring in, and we're like, oh, time to work very hard again.
Wow. Look, I may be ignorant on your background and the organization you are in. Do you guys mainly do, because I know you share kind of like a range of beneficiary. So from the elders to even, was it young people as well?
Yeah, so actually we are a multi-service organization. Yeah, so I think in Singapore there isn't too many of this. So a lot of them, they just focus on one special cause, like whether it's just for the children, for the elderly. So for us, we realized that you don't just help someone, in their early child days as a child, but as they go into the youth, as they grow older to working adult, there are different problems that they face throughout the whole life. So throughout the whole lifespan in that sense. So we actually help from even helping people with adoption.
Oh wow, adoption as well.
Yes, adoption work. Helping the babies to find a foster home for them to be adopted, so that they can really grow up, despite of whatever circumstances that happened before that. Yeah, so I think children work, we also look into youth, and also helping married couples how to
married couple as well.
Yes, because there's always conflicts between husband and wife. So we do have our counselors, we do have programs to come in to support, to teach them how do you appreciate one another. I mean, it might sound cliche, but sometimes we all need that reminder on,
I agree.
Yeah, understanding one another from different perspectives. Sometimes give and take a bit. Sometimes you might have a quarrel. How do you come back to resolve all this? So we do have handlers and coaches to teach them. We do look into healthcare, mental health issues. It's really an up and rising concern, really, in the Singapore context as well.
Seems big, your organization, because you guys are dealing with a multitude of wow.
Yeah, so we help people with special needs as well, those with lower intellectual disabilities, the elderly as well. Yeah, so we are quite big. We just celebrated. I think this year is our 30th anniversary.
Oh wow, good job.
Yeah, so recently I didn't know that the company grew that big. So we are at about 370 staff strength
Oh
for the
wow.
organization.
Ruth, this is a bit of my personal curiosity, and you raised a good point. So being within the young age group, I'm sure that especially even for the Singapore community, or I dare say less so in Australia, but to a degree it does happen, because you're right. Sometimes we look at our peer and look at our friends, it's like, hey, income is a big thing, your job and so on. Sometimes it's like having what you have, or sometimes we will look at having what you don't have is a big part of thing. How, how and your work is mainly in a sector that I would say that it's also quite important to actually play a part, because it's more on serving the community as a whole. Do you find it challenging sometimes when your friends say, hey Ruth, look, I don't have to put, because I know sometimes you get desensitized to stuff, especially when you see a lot of like the reality of life kicks in. So how does young people prescribe or see what you're doing, your job? Yeah.
I think you are very right. You know, where especially when I look at my friends, you know, every 2 years she's changing her job, she's getting
Yeah.
her raise, she's working with MNC now. I'm like, she's with Google. I'm like, that used to be my big dream, you know, getting into Google to do. I'm
Yes.
not sure what exactly she does, but you know, being just in Google, it it changes
The
so much.
name. The
Yeah, it's
name.
just a name. I went to the Google office once, and I love the office so much because it's so tiny.
Wow.
I'm like, wow. And of course, I think sometimes I think I'm very thankful for my friends who are very supportive. They really see the meaning behind the work. It's not just another work that you are having, another work that another job that you have, but it's really how you know, we try to do good and contribute back to the society, to uplift the whole society in ways that we can do. And perhaps for them, uh, they will tell me very practically, friend, I think it's very tough for me to join you in the sector lah. Yeah, I mean, I have my commitments, and I say I totally understand. Yeah, no one. I think if as and when you feel like, you know, I think now is the time for me to contribute back, then by all means do so. But right now, what you can do is you can support me in the work that I do. So I always dish out some website links of my company website and say you can always make a donation, and because that is your way of supporting the community at this
Mm,
stage of your life. And I think they never fail to turn me down whenever I meet them. Yeah, just this year, because I turned 29 this year, so I play you know, kind of like a pun with my birthday and the birth date. So it was I'm born on the 29th and I'm turning 29. So I started a fundraising campaign
29,
titled,
29.
yeah, 29 on 29th. Yeah. So and then I just say, guys, I'm just doing a fundraising. Why not you all support me as I celebrate my birthday this year? I just want to do something unique. And I just sent to my friends, you're like, hey, sure, by all means, you know, I'm just gonna support you. Great job that you're doing. And I think it's that really that support from family and friends.
That's
Because
good.
sometimes I
I
think
agree.
coming from family as well, that support is really very important to keep you going. Because times I mean, I have my parents telling me, hey, don't worry about how much you'll bring back, okay? You know, your parents, we can survive on our own, and all this, you know, is still sufficient for us. Having that very contented lifestyle. Yeah, perhaps I may not be able to buy a car, or, you know, or buy a house at the moment, but I think it's trusting that, you know, and when the time comes when I need to buy, there will be sufficient resources. Otherwise, I just have to realize that I need to learn to stop comparing with others as well. Because what do I really need and what I want, between my needs and wants, to really identify out and to realize, okay, maybe sometimes I can afford to have some of my wants, but I think my needs always have to be met first. Yeah.
I think that's a very healthy mindset, because I think a lot of people confuse that. And
Mhm.
again, having supportive family and friends play a huge part. So yeah, look, before we sign off or anything, what is the one last thing that you would like to share for individuals who want to take on a similar role like yours or within a similar sector?
Wow, one last thing.
Yes.
I think sometimes it's to learn to have that courage to take that first step. Yes, because sometimes overthinking frightens us from doing anything. And I think that having that first courage to say, you know, I'm not sure what am I going to end up with. I'm not sure if this is going to turn out right, but I'm just going to give it a try. And I think when you give it a try, doors will be open because, you know, the sector really needs the help, especially in the areas of digital marketing. I have spoken to other friends who are working in the sector as well. Definitely, they do not even have the manpower to look into those areas. Of course, I think we are definitely very thankful for the government support. They have been coming out with grants for charities to adopt technology to get onto the digital space. But there is still a lack. There is still a lack of people coming on board with the strategies to help them elevate out. It's beyond just having the platforms there, but having a human mind to say, I am going to be committed, you know, and say, we are going to turn things out. And because every organization is so unique, there is no one foolproof strategy that works for everybody. It has to be customized to tailor to your needs. And I think, yes, don't hesitate, because don't think that being in the commercial sector, then you're like, I might not have the heart for it, but come. And then you will start to grow to have the heart for the people here.
Correct. I agree with it. All right. Look, thank you, Ruth, for your time. Let's just end a bit earlier. I'm sure I have worn you out. Christina have worn you out. So I think you do deserve a rest. I think you did really good. So I do wish you all the best with your journey, and I connected with you on LinkedIn. You are definitely someone who's very interesting, and I would love to see the rest of your journey on where this journey takes you. So yeah,